So that's what you use to record Skype calls?
Uh, well, if there's reader allows, yeah. For
Oh, okay.
I know there's some tools out there, but I know a few tools out there that record Skype calls, but one is a little iffy. I don't know how. I don't know why. Another one was supposedly perhaps does it on some occasions, but no.
Oh. Yeah, I need to get a Skype recorder because I mean I like Audacity, but it's just
Yeah, and sadly, because certain computers does not have the stereo mix built in, because God forbid piracy is a big issue and people use that.
yeah.
But using stereo mix is fun. I My old
Yeah.
computer has that, but sadly speaking of, I need to get rid of that old computer anyways. It's a old Toshiba laptop that I used since back in college. I bought it around October 2008 ish, and it's relatively slow. I'm pretty much running that shit to the ground.
Mm. Oh, I cannot wait to dub this comic tonight.
Okay, we're now live. Yay!
So many souls to play with, so little time.
How about we
Please don't
strike?
scare me again.
Yeah. Anyways, I've got back on. We should be okay.
Ah,
All
so
sounds
sorry.
well.
All right.
And let's try to restart.
Did I miss anything? I heard you and I am Shadow talking.
Um.
Not much. We were just talking about like different Skype recordings.
Yeah, because the XSplit doesn't record automatically unless you tell it to, which sucks. And
Yeah.
well, not only that, live stream's pretty much easier. They record it automatically, and it's in a file that I can pretty much just input into Sony Vegas. So,
All right, let's get back into this. So Fluttershy is basically finally getting Fluttershy in this fix. So let's see. The mud was inconvenient, but on the whole, she barely noticed the weather as she went about her day. How do you not see rain that thick on your day of work?
Animals. And if there was lightning, she's always under the covers.
True.
Yep.
I mean, we are talking about the Pegasus who's scared of her own shadow.
Yep.
Unless you piss her off and is like, she'll stare you to death.
Mm-hmm.
Or worse, the Fluttershout stare.
Ugh, yeah, that's even
Oh
creepier.
yeah, that.
Fluttershy would be, and often had been, first to admit that she wasn't the most Pegasus-ish of Pegasi. Adoy!
You think?
Think!
Oh, all right. Well, Fluttershy, I believe that we are both your parents. We both say, "Adore."
Adore! Anyways, but she had enough of... Drawn together for the win, by the way. But she had enough of the sky in her soul, and enough fat under her skin, which...
What?
What? Enough fat?
Could you
Am
run
I
that?
reading this correctly?
Wait.
She had enough of the sky in her soul, and enough fat under her skin, which the Pegasi wrote fewer poems about, not to be bothered by a little ordinary rain. What?
I do not get it.
Neither do I.
Let's just go on.
Yeah. When she did notice the rain, it was in the evening, with all the work done and dinner warm in her belly, and there was a sense of gratitude. Curling up under a quilt with a mug of cocoa was nice enough itself, but the gentle hiss of rain outside made it just perfect.
Well, she is quite comfortable.
I say. Excuse me. The hearth fire crackling, the soft continual chorus of small animals fidgeting and chirping throughout the house, the warm, sweet steam of the cocoa all made Fluttershy's eyelids heavy and her mind foggy. Oh no, don't go to sleep! You'll end up in a graveyard with a homicidal, phallically named Heavy.
More like don't go to sleep or the boogeyman might get you.
Or Jeff the
Yeah.
Killer.
Yeah.
Don't go to sleep, because don't go to sleep. You never know what Angel does.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go.
Yeah. When she did notice... Oh, excuse me, I was doing the same thing again. Angel... Oh, of course. With most of the critters settling in themselves and their nocturnal ones polite enough to start up their routines quietly, only one point of agitated movement remained to draw her thoughts away from bed. Here we go. Angel Bunny was a bundle of nervous energy, scarcely odd in itself, but But this time he didn't seem grouchy about anything, just unable to keep still. He had declined to struggle with her and share dessert, which despite his little attitude issues he usually did readily enough, and had instead spent most of the evening pacing and hopping around the cottage as though he were looking for something but couldn't remember what. Well, this is different from Angel, isn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
After Fluttershy had settled down in her quilt without him, he took particular interest in the large window on the north wall of the living room.
What?
He's looking at the window, folks.
The window.
Bouncing up onto the back of the sofa beneath it and skittering back and forth, staring out into the lowering dark. He didn't appear to be playing for attention with his antics. Something was genuinely bothering him.
Wonder what could be.
Shot in the dark and maybe a little meta. You think maybe he can sense what's going on in the Ponyville library right now?
I feel a disturbance in the force.
With a sigh.
My bunny senses tingling.
Oh boy.
I do.
Excuse me. With a sigh, she set down her mug and quietly joined him at the window, peering out into the drizzly sunset gloom. Movement outside caught her eye. Movement?
Something's going on.
Small shapes hopping about on the grass between her cottage and the fringe of the forest. Her mild frown deepened as she got used to picking out the small blurs among the shadows and realized how many of them were. Dozens of wild rabbits, all out and about despite the damp and the dark. Huh?
What are they doing?
What?
That's what I'm wondering.
Let's see what happens.
Rabbits foraging in the evening was normal enough, and even in the rain they needed to get out and eat, but something wasn't right. Angel denying, or whatever that says, to notice the doings of wild rabbits was out of the ordinary itself, but that wasn't it. That there were also so many of them hopping around together was strange also. Anywhere beyond the immediate radius of her cottage, the term for a large gathering of bunnies was buffet, and that was part of it, yet still she couldn't quite put her hoof on why the scene outside was raising a deep blossom of worry in her stomach.
Something is really going on.
A moment later, she realized that they were all trending in the same direction. It wasn't a stampede, they weren't running or panicked, and it didn't even look as though any of them were deciding to go that way. They just all happened to be heading eastward whenever they moved, seeming not to notice they were doing it.
Hypnotism?
Huh?
Were they hypnotized or something? It sounds like it. I don't even know what's going on. I'm just trying to figure out.
Well, I know animals are very, not like when they respond to nature, when something's wrong, they leave. So something must really be going on.
What's going on?
The little alarm bells in the back of her mind rang a bit louder. Unnatural was the word that echoed through her thoughts.
That's odd. Angel, is there some sort of bunny holiday going on?
There ain't none.
Naive as ever, aren't you, Fluttershy?
The white rabbit turned to her with a scowl, different from the usual surly one. He looked as puzzled as she felt. Slowly he shook his head and spread his little paws in a baffled shrug, before pressing his nose to the window, shuffling his feet restlessly.
Do you want to go with them?
Angel turned again and grimaced, his eyebrows wrinkling and his lip caught in his teeth. He bobbed his head in a conflicted gesture, unable to decide between nodding and shaking. Fluttershy could read him well enough to get the basic idea. He did feel an urge to follow the other rabbits, but having rather more brain power than most of his kin, he was also wary about following such an inexplicable compulsion. Holy crap. Excuse me. Angel's uncertainty, such a sharp contrast to his usual grumpy confidence, only made her own worries worse. After a lifetime of being basically Fluttershy, she was a connoisseur of many different shades and flavors of anxiety. Again, doy?
Like we haven't noticed?
Exactly.
Thanks.
This one wasn't the sort of nervous that made her want to squeeze into a small space and squeak, but rather the sort that called on her to move forward and take action. Oh, don't squeak. I've already had Discord do enough of that to you.
Yeah, not only that, are you still recovering from Trixie's little problem?
I remember that.
Oh!
It's too bad I couldn't voice Trixie in that.
Oh!
I'm gonna exploit the living shit out of it.
Oh,
I'm just
really?
gonna be such a bastard. But
I-
let's
Apparently-
continue.
What?
Something's wrong with the bunnies.
Yeah, let's get back to the matter at hand. Let's see what's going on.
Yeah,
with the
this is really
bunnies.
bugging me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Something was wrong with the bunnies. Adoy! Again.
Yeah, let's go.
Once she grasped that, the notion that whatever it was might not be safe for ponies didn't enter her mind. She raised her chin bravely and moved from the window toward the front door.
I don't like the looks of this at all. I'm going to find out what's going on.
Determined, she grabbed her rain hat and flopped it onto her head as a token nod to the weather before opening the door. On the threshold, she looked over to Angel, tipping her head. Excuse me, it's a he.
Yeah.
Some people just don't get it.
After considering for a long moment, he nodded and bounced over to take up a perch between her wings. Well, this can't go wrong at all.
Oh boy.
Excuse me. She trotted out along the path, Angel holding a couple strands of her mane and peering out around her cheek like a ship's captain at the prow, following the trail of rabbits as more and more of them emerged from the thickening grove, all hopping towards central Ponyville.
Ponyville? Why go there?
One does have a good idea.
Twilight!
Is
Twilight!
that the tea kettle boiling? Pew!
Chapter 4, Rarity, Parity, Similarity.
So, let me see if I understand correctly.
Rarity paced in front of Twilight, sparkled like a drill sergeant. Ooh, shit. She tapped out points on the floor with her forehoof.
To help you with an essay, Pinky brought over her collection of dolls made to look like us and the rest of Ponyville. While you were playing a make-believe, Rainbow Dash and the Phillies turned up, and you all ended up having a tea party. But then you got bored and decided to bring the dolls to life with magic. Have I got all that right?
Not part of the thing, but pretty much. Pretty much.
More or less.
Yeah.
Twilight mumbled a vague non-denial. Rarity nodded sagely.
My dear, there is quite simply not a single part of which that is not insane. Thank you!
Yes!
Come again?
What?
I was trying
She
to...
said, there is quite simply not a single part of which that is not insane.
Well, that... I was trying to understand that, but then again... slipping
Yeah.
my mind. Also looking around at the radars and whatnot.
Applejack boiled over. Count Sergeant Twilight using fancy magic for a silly game? I thought you had more sense than that. Well, then again, this is the one pony we're talking about who coincidentally and accidentally switched over the destinies of the elements of harmony, so...
Oh, let's not forget! Turning Ponyville into one big giant mental fuck-up because she couldn't get a friendship report in time.
Oh, yeah, that bloody wanted needed spell.
Oh,
Gross.
that.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that.
And then Celestia coming in like a boss.
Yeah. Twilight Sparkle. Oh, Nelly.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Anyways, Rainbow Dash landed to put a supportive hoof on Twilight's shoulder. Lay off her, AJ. We talked her into it. Yeah, but you, I didn't think had more sense. Ooh. Scary, scary, scary. Dash scowled and thrust her muzzle into Applejack's face. Why, you low-down tree-kicking...
Ooh, I think we're getting into a Jerry Springer moment.
Easy,
High five.
girls. She stopped short as a perfectly groomed white hoof shot down between the starting rivals.
Tut! Later.
Rarity commanded. She pointed toward the bird cage full of squirming mini ponies. Oh god, they're still alive.
First things first. Perhaps you should do something about these little fellows?
She asked of Twilight.
I don't understand what happened. I only targeted the spell at 3 of the dolls, and even those 3 that shouldn't have been as energetic as they all were, let alone so independent.
You only hit 3?
It was like something pushed me, just as I was casting the spell, like swimming in the sea and having a big wave come up behind me.
I reiterate, you were aiming for 3? How the fuck do you mess that up?
Shrugs. Mm-hmm.
Seriously, you messed this up more than...
Ever!
Restoration spell than Trixie's little problem.
Lesson 0.
Yeah. Well, let's go.
Oh my gosh.
Want me to dig out Polytrot's aspects of animation?
Oh!
Wait, what?
Polytrot's aspects of animation.
Later, but definitely. I'm sure I had the spell itself down pat, but there must be some other factor at work.
She shook her head and put the banner aside for the moment, leaning down to inspect the trapped toys.
Is this all of them?
She asked, not having gotten a proper answer before. Rainbow Dash, Rarity, Pinkie Pie, and Scootaloo exchanged furtive glances and shuffled their hooves.
Oh, yes.
Rarity said. Twilight looked up at her, puzzled with the access certainty in her voice. Rarity gave her a bright, brittle grin.
I think so. Some of them, might still be hiding. Might. Oh, and Rarity, do you think or do you know?
Give us answers!
Do you think so or do you know so, Rarity?
Mm-hmm. The other 3 chewed on their lips, praying silently that Twilight wouldn't ask who they hadn't caught. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Twilight took a quick look around the room and shrugged.
Well, it doesn't matter. I only wanted you to round up to keep them out of trouble. When I close the spell, it'll deactivate them all anyway.
Oh, good!
I did.
Chorused all 4, more enthusiastically than intended. Twilight missed the reaction, focused on unweaving her enchantment. A silent distortion rippled through the air. As it passed over the bird cage, the toy ponies inside began to glow with the magenta aura of Twilight's magic. The energy rose to them in glittering streamers and flowed toward the unicorn, spiraling into her horn like colored water swirling into a drain. Pinkie nudged Dash aside and bobbed her head toward the bookshelves, where a few extra wisps of magic were seeping out from between the books and joining the vortex swirling toward Twilight. Evidently, Discord wasn't the only one they'd missed, but as Twilight said, they were all giving up their magical energy anyway.
I was going to say, what about Discord?
Yeah.
Well,
The toy-catching crew all sagged in relief and traded sheepish smiles. Applejack narrowed her eyes at them in suspicion, but didn't say anything. Had Twilight's nerves been less frayed, and had she not closed her eyes in concentration, she might have noticed a flare of brighter light shining from deep within the pile of toys as the energy boiled off of them. What?
energy?
As it was, none of the others who saw it had any reason to suspect that it wasn't her doing.
What's
What?
going on?
When the
Okay.
last of the magic had... What?
I was like, now this is really going, like, bugging me now.
When the last of the magic had twirled down into her horn, Twilight raised her head and drew a deep breath, letting it out in a surprisingly loud and cheerful...
Whew.
She shook her head and gave a bright, energetic smile. Her eyes didn't actually glow, as they often did when she channeled power, but they somehow gave an impression of light nonetheless. She chuckled at the confused looks every pony was giving her.
Head rush. Imagine you've been working all day and then all at once you got back all the energy you'd spent.
Huh. That does sound nice, Applejack allowed. Well, okay then. Guess that takes care of them little ponies. But what's up with that thing in the kitchen?
That's a good question. There's no way something like that could be the side effect of an overinflated animation spell, unless Pinkie had a life-size slime monster doll hidden in her bag.
Oh!
What?
Better not! Pinkie!
Pinkamina die and pie?
Pinkie said,
What? Oh, come on. No.
Pinkie!
The scorn in her voice was convincing to Twilight, not least because it sounded as though Pinkie wished she had thought of making such a toy. You better not!
Better not!
For the love of Celestia and Lona, you better not!
We don't want this. We don't want My Little Pony Trainer Ghostbusters.
Or My Little Pony to go into hentai!
When something strange happens in the night, who you gonna call? No one. I cut the phone line.
You remember,
God damn
Molestia
it.
almost raped. And not to forget, Molestia almost raped a tentacle monster. You don't want that happening again.
Is your body ready?
Ready for what?
Ready for what?
Alright, let's continue. Let's see what the fuck Pinky was thinking about.
Yeah.
As the ponies and dragon filed out of the main room toward the kitchen, the bright glow faded from beneath the toy ponies in the cage. The pile of toys settled somewhat, as though a bowl shape beneath them had collapsed, and a chorus of high-pitched grunts and complaints rose from the bottom of the pile. The tiny head of Rainbow Dash was first to push its way out.
What?
Oh yeah, Rainbow Dash was tight, tiny head.
Oh
no.
no.
Oh no, no.
What?
Don't tell me they're actually sentient now.
Continue.
Yeah.
Keeping her voice reasonably low, she called down,
Hey, look like the coast is clear.
"Oh no."
Oh god.
Twilight Sparkle shoved her way up through the dolls.
Shoved her way up through the dolls.
So the miniature Twilight tried to fake this shit!
Great.
Oh
Okay.
god, she has knowledge.
Great. Okay, Applejack. Can you bend these bars enough for us to squeeze out? Oh dear.
What's going
Crap.
on?
Sure thing, came a muffled voice. More shifting and tumbling of toys ensued, and eventually, Aura Quarters emerged from the pile at the edge of the cage.
Let me just get lined up here.
Applejack put her rear hooves against two of the brass bars and gave a soft grunt as she put all her power into pushing. It wasn't so easy as delivering it all the force at once in a good strong buck, but she didn't want to make too much noise. The slender bars, made to resist gnawing bird beaks, were no match for a determined, if miniature, earth pony's legs.
Miniature Earth ponies?
Yes.
Oh god.
What?
Fuck.
We're screwed.
Somewhat awkwardly, Applejack spread her legs wide as she pushed, forcing the bars apart as well as outward, until finally one snapped and she lost her balance, cursing as the broken metal bit into her leg.
Ah, that good enough?
She asked, trying to shuffle around under all the toys so she could see out.
So what Twilight did, trying to turn him back to normal, that didn't even work?
Apparently not.
It did not. And now the toys are escaping.
God damn it, Twilight. How you were supposed to be the element of magic, for fuck's sake. How do you fuck this up?
I think she needs to...
Let's do an inanimate spell. Or get like a giant eraser.
I think she needs to stop studying all sorts of magic that will probably backfire and will cause more chaos and harm than any good. And I think she should also stick to going outside and meeting people, as Celestia's trying to make her do.
Twilight, you may be the element of magic, but great power comes great responsibility.
And she lacks the lather.
Don't abuse it.
Oh boy.
Pinkie Pie burst out in the pile.
Oh no.
Oh god, no.
Mini Pie.
Let's go.
Pinkie Pie burst out of the pile and popped readily through the new opening.
You did great, Applejack.
She said, her voice the miniature scale and possibly shrill.
Come on, girls, let's get out of here.
Dash was second through the hole, followed by Twilight. Another round of grunts and grumbles told that Applejack was clearing a path out for Fluttershy, and finally the rest helped tug Applejack out to freedom. That was right smart of you, Twi, getting us all to the bottom of the pile so as you could shield us.
What? The little Twilight can be able to use magic?
She's learning!
Oh,
She's
God.
learning!
Congratulations, normal Twi. You severely fucked up.
Yeah. You fucked up.
Great.
Really bad.
Congratulations, Twilight. You crossed from My Little Pony to Toy Story.
Great, Disney's
Are
gonna
you
sue.
fucking happy?
Disney's gonna fucking sue us.
We're screwed. Oh god, Pixar. Imagine the suits from Pixar.
Where's Rarity? Twilight shook her head and cast her eyes over toward the giant hat on the other side of the room.
She was stuck under there. I couldn't reach her. She was stuck under there. I couldn't reach her.
Eyes wide, worried and watery, Fluttershy tried to ask, "Is she?" She faltered, then pointed cautiously toward all the inanimate ponies in the cage. So you got the inanimate ponies, but not the Mini Main 6.
Or at
Logic?
least 5 of them.
Again.
You missed that.
Again. Logic?
And you said, Twilight, and quote, that if you use the magic to deactivate it, they shouldn't be able to use magic anyway. Guess what, Twilight? The Mini You can use magic.
Yes.
Congratulations to why you screwed up.
Twilight put a
Princess
comforting
Sil-
hoof on her shoulder.
No, they're not all right. But they're not dead either.
She drew a deep breath and looked solemnly around at the others.
I think I know what's going on. I don't know how to tell you this, but
Oh no! We're all just a bunch of dolls Big Twilight brought to life with magic and our brains are made up for thoughts about us!
What?
you
What?
think?
Well, how the hell did she knew about that?
Because
Let's go.
Pinkie Pie, do I need to reiterate myself, Gonzo?
Just stop, and let's just continue.
Twilight gave her the sort of stare Pinkie got a lot of.
Oh, right. You wanted to tell them.
Well, yeah, she's right.
Twilight said, a little deflated.
Shucks, I think we mostly figured that out already.
Said Applejack.
What? What were the who now?
Dash asked, perplexed.
Mostly.
Applejack lifted her hind leg, looking pointedly toward the long and deep yet bloodless gown she'd gotten from the broken bar. This here not being an ugly tragedy was my big clue, I reckon. Twilight nodded.
Hold on. Yeah, I don't think she realized we'd be as conscious as we are. I'm pretty sure the Ponies she doesn't know as well didn't have really much in the way of private thoughts.
Okay, so, what do we do? Applejack asked. Twilight tilted her head and frowned thoughtfully.
Honestly, I don't think there's much to do. I mean, normally we're all pretty well practiced at fixing magical mishaps, but this time we are the mishap. Gee, you think?
You think? Good lord. She
I'm
looked
so-
around. What?
Like, I am this close to grabbing my computer screen and throwing it out the window!
But then you won't be able to record the stuff after this.
I know, you're right. I don't want to do it!
Let's just push on and let's hope that the big Twilight notice what the fuck is wrong.
Yes, please.
Which I'm seriously doubting if she will. She looked around the book-strewn, chair-tumbled mess of the library. A short while ago, where they'd all been brought suddenly into existence, she had been as much of a panic as every pony else. For a few short moments, she had only stared at the little giant ponies, too befuddled to even begin to guess what was going on. But then Big Dash had grabbed Little Dash, who kicked her sharply on the snoot, and began yelling about giant monsters, and the whole town's worth of miniature ponies had burst into an uncontrolled riot. So it basically was all Rainbow Dash's fault. Why am I not surprised?
Dashy!
Seriously.
Yeah, seriously.
She really
Okay, Dash,
She really
I can
needs to
forgive
get
you.
checked.
Rainbow Dash, I can forgive you and Double Rainboom. Do not make me forgive you here.
Ooh.
Let's go.
Only when they'd been herded into the birdcage had Twilight, at the bottom of the heap, found a moment to gather her thoughts and decipher the situation. Instinctively, she had thrown a protective ward around her closest friends when Big Twilight ended the spell, but now she wasn't sure that had been the right thing to do.
Well,
Listen to
now
this,
she...
Listen to this, guys! I had never been in a side effect before. I kind of feel bad about trashing the library.
I wish I could quit now! But right now, I really can't afford to.
I think she lost.
See, Bet, I think I heard somebody bash their heads on the desk. Which one
It's
are
my
you?
fist. It's my fist.
Did you broke a bone?
No, I'm fine. Let's continue.
Yes.
Next time I recommend a pillow.
We do that all the time.
Dash said, which wasn't readily deniable.
Look at it this way. It's awesome how much damage we can do when we're just 3 inches high.
Let's keep going. I don't want to see Angry Shadow.
You better not.
Oh god, she's going into Brutalite mode. Gonzo, shield me!
Just keep going. And you won't see it.
Twilight. Oh god, you're making me nervous now. Twilight snorted and broke into a grin. A moment later, they were all laughing with hooves over their mouths and nervous glances toward the kitchen. After letting some of the tension out, Twilight rubbed her face and heaved another sigh.
Anyway, I think the best thing we can do is just hide somewhere and wait for the last of our magical energy to run out.
What happens to us then?
Applejack's voice had just a hint of tremor in it, and her question was exactly what Twilight was hoping not to hear.
Well,
She began and stopped. In one sense, when the energy was gone, they'd ceased to exist. Along with all the de-animated ponies in the cage, their bodies would return to lifeless toyhood. That probably wasn't something the others would be happy to hear. But in another sense, their current existence was just a projection of Big Twilight's mental image of herself and her friends. After the spell ceased, they would still live, in a way, along with the rest of her internal model of the world, dwelling as they always had in her thoughts about Ponyville.
everything goes back to normal and this will all just be a weird dream. I don't think this will be a weird dream if they happen to remember it the next day.
Yeah. She delivered it slick and glib. Applejack leaned toward her, suspicious about that long pause. Twilight returned her gaze with what she hoped was an honest, forthright smile, bracing herself against Applejack's searchlight stare by keeping in mind that what she'd said was true from a certain point of view.
Well, all right, Twilight, if you say so.
Applejack eventually concluded. How long do you figure that's going to take, then? Twilight shrugged.
It depends on how much energy we explain in all the fracas.
Okay,
And
can
that-
you read? It sounds like you stumbled a bit. How about you retry to read that?
look. It depends on how much energy we each explain in all of fracas.
Yeah, fracas, you got it right.
Fracas. And that's without knowing how much we each got to start with. Probably more than 5 minutes. Probably less than 2 hours.
Oh.
Oh, dear. We gotta explain them sooner or later, Twilight.
Oh, boy.
We've gotta explain it to them soon.
And when we run out, we just kind of fall asleep, right?
I think it'll feel like that, yeah.
We all... What?
That's a sugarcoat way to put that.
Yeah. Way to be subtle, Twilight. They all fell silent for a moment. However, well, they trusted Twilight, sitting around and waiting to fall asleep, still felt a lot like giving up. Surprisingly, it was Fluttershy who spoke up first.
I think we need some Pinkie Pie style.
Did she just say that?
There
Yes.
is no bloody way that Fluttershy just said Pinkie Pie style.
There are no words.
Gonzo? I'm scared.
Don't hide behind me!
God damn it, man! What did I ever do to you?
Just keep reading.
Yes, ma'am.
If you wouldn't mind. Hey, yeah! Pinkie began hopping in place. No need to be all doomy and gloomy. If we're Ponies, we should know. We should play!
Ow, son of a...
We
Try
should.
to move my computer.
Oh.
Freak.
We should play. Yes.
Freak.
Twilight
Play.
broke into a bright smile, and saw it reflected on every pony else's face as well.
You're right. There's no reason to not have a good time before this whole mess cleared itself up.
Yahoo!
Pinkie squealed, only to find her mouth swiftly covered by Fluttershy's hoof.
But we need to be quiet.
The Pegasus said gently and tipped her head toward the nearest bookshelf.
What?
And we should find a hiding place first, right?
Pinky nodded energetically and Sage whispered,
Right, I know some great quiet games. Come on, girls.
She bounced toward the shelf where one book leaning on another created a triangular cave easily big enough for them to all stay comfortably. The others trooped after her, making a point of keeping their chins up and their spirits high.
What's a quiet game? A staring contest?
None of them noticed a shimmer of green light fading away up in the loft near the telescope nook. The fledgling phoenix Pee-wee had curled up in his little fireproof nest and fallen asleep, and Aloysius sat with his back to the main room, calmly reading a historical drama. So, I didn't know Aloysius had taste like that.
He probably got accustomed to the library.
Unseen, a slinking serpentine form
What?
Uh-oh.
wriggled out from
Slinking
beneath the shadow of a low table and slipped inside the blue metal box where the birds had stored their purloined pony dolls.
Wait, serpentine, slinking? If the main 6 ponies are still in effect, then that means... Oh no.
What?
Yes.
Whoa,
No.
Whoa.
Yes.
No. Hold it. Well, what the hell's going on?
Discord might... If it... Slinking serpentine. And if the max of the main 6 is still activated, Discord might still be animate.
Aloysius blinked and turned his head in the disturbing manner of an owl, alerted by a curious wheezy whooshing noise. Sorry, I had to do that.
It's okay.
Don't do that.
By the time his sharp eyes swept across the spot where the blue box had been, it was gone and the noise faded.
There, it's gone?
Yes.
Aloysius
just looked back and forth a moment, incapable of frowning suspiciously, but giving the air of one who would be. Eventually, he just went back to reading. If he got worked up over every strange thing that happened in the Purple One's household, he'd be crazier than the Pink One.
Well, that's Aloysius thinking.
Yeah.
The kitchen wasn't too bad. The floor was littered with shattered bits of crockery and scatterings of herbs. A splatter of creamy cucumber spread dripped down a bank of cabinets, and there was a crack in the pantry door, where the tentacles had spent a lot of time flailing in the kitchen before seeking out the bright shining source of magical goodness that was Twilight Sparkle.
What?
Twilight?
Uh...
Oh dear.
Twilight crunched across the floor and looked at the cast iron cauldron that had become a prison for the extra-dimensional menace.
Whatever happened, I guess I'll have to send this to the vault at the counter lot and get a new pot. I'll pay for it.
Sweetie Belle said hastily, then froze in grimace, rolling her eyes around desperately at the stairs that swept in her direction.
And why, my dear little sister, do you feel a need to make such a generous offer? Hey, at least she has more generosity than you, Rarity.
Rarity asked in a low, dangerous voice.
Sweetie Belle, what did you do?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
What did you do, sweetie?
Busted!
Sweetie quivered, beads of sweat rolling down her forehead. She raised a trembling hoof and pointed at her enormous age book lying open on the counter. Oh, God, I am
Wait,
Shadow.
what?
I am Shadow. You are not going to like this.
I was just following the recipe for mate tea. It's in some kind of foreign language, but there's pictures of ingredients and I could send out the words.
I want to kill that little marshmallow now!
Sweetie Belle, you're my favorite Keyboard Crusader. You just got downgraded!
Ah! Oh, crap. Holy fuck.
I'm gonna eat that little marshmallow.
Spare me some!
Twilight felt a dreadful apprehension of the cosmos, focusing its sense of humor on her as she turned reluctantly and scanned the pages. A wordless groan of horror escaped her lips.
That's not a recipe! It doesn't say mate, it says Tiamat!
She slammed the book shut and stared at the cover in revulsion.
Ugh! This is the Economicon!
What?
Ah, son of a bitch!
Shit!
Okay, sweetie pal, you got to ass first! I'm about to take half of that little marshmallow!
S'more out of you!
I'm gonna take half of that fucking marshmallow, give the rest to I Am Shadow, and then we'll just feast on her.
Hey, Gonzo, want to
What?
split a s'more?
What?
Want to split a s'more? A marshmallow out of Sweetie Belle?
Oh, I haven't had a s'more in a long time. Might as well make her the center.
Yes.
Okay.
Spike, why do these forbidden tomes keep ending up in the kitchen?
I don't know. Maybe you should find a pony who browses through Eldritch Grim waters while she's looking for a snack and ask her. I bet she can guess what color her mane is.
Pinky! Fine, not important.
Twilight rolled around and held the book out towards Sweetie Belle.
How can you mistake this for a cookbook?
Sweetie looked at the thick, gnarled black wood of the dread tome's binding, carved with ominous runes and twisted shapes that could almost be taken for the screaming pony face. Oh no, you are not
Guys?
like this.
Guys,
Yes?
I want you to do me a favor.
Yes?
If I rage, try your best to restrain me.
Okay.
I thought maybe it was one of those Nightmare Night Party books.
I want the Joker so fucking much! Wonder what marshmallows look like when they sure...
Ah! There's a strains!
God!
What color would Sweetie Belle turn if we choke her? Will she turn blue, or will she turn black?
Oh, I hope it's black. It'll be black as my heart when I'm done with her.
Twilight was spared any further excursion into the Philly's mental workings when Applejack and Rarity both burst out in exasperated groans.
You left some book of magic just sitting around in the kitchen.
You let Sweetie Belle cook?
Every pony decided that was the shouting cue.
All I did was put stuff in the pot. I didn't even touch the stove.
Alright! I don't think we can continue this any fucking longer! I am done! I am fucking done!
Oh, god damn it! We are getting through this! We will power through this, because we are the Feisty Three. God
Best
damn.
be lucky you're heading to fucking Florida! And not the Brony. And if I were, I'd probably trek all the way in August from fucking Baltimore all the way to your little town just to choke you for this.
Oh, come on.
Just keep reading.
I told you not to mess with anything that had ingredients, countered Applebloom.
It's a library. Having books around is the whole point.
Twilight snapped. And the necromancy part of the catalog gets shelved on the kitchen counter? Applejack retorted.
Sweetie, why couldn't you just stick with a nice simple bowl of toast?
Interjected Rarity.
Sheeper.
I said we should have just gone kayaking in the first place.
I can shout louder than any of you!
Weemold Ash contributed.
Oh.
What?
Pinky. Thank you for that, Pinky. Wow, holy crap, she actually does something logical for once.
Wow. Pinky shouting quiet. Heard of.
The party pony, of whom thanks to countless hours of practice singing and announcing, the Ash's assertion was simply not true, swept a glare across all of them as their mouths snapped shut.
Honestly, it's like I'm babysitting, but I'm not getting paid.
Whoa.
Wow.
She sighed, earning a full roster of 8 disgruntled stares. Ugh. She rolled her eyes and crossed her forelegs.
Fine, I'll go first this time. Twilight, I'm sorry that I talked you into trying out an unpracticed spell just for playtime. Having fun is no excuse. I shouldn't have poked you into breaking the rules about your real work.
She shot a meaningful look toward Rainbow Dash, who hovered down a little lower and dipped her eyes humbly.
Yeah, I'm sorry for the same thing. It also was me who started the actual fighting with the toys, so sorry for that too.
With her eyes, Dash tossed the apology ball towards the Crusaders.
We're sorry we summoned forth hordes of the utter darkness.
You better be!
Oh god, I think I'm gonna do this voice to make her tell you. And I'm sorry for messing up your kitchen.
Ah! It went from choking her to dying of diabetes.
Oh, yeah, and the bathroom.
What?
That kind of killed the moment's good, Lil.
Without a word, Twilight Sparkle pivoted on her rear hoof and galloped for the stairs. Pinky turned her gaze on Rarity, who blinked and shook her head slightly, baffled.
Meep! I didn't...
She turned away as a cry of shock and outrage came from the upstairs bathroom. Pinky wouldn't allow the distraction and kept giving Rarity the nanny glare.
Well, then, I suppose that I'm sorry for not picking up Sweetie Belle from school myself. And, yes, I'm sorry I yelled. You and Rainbow Dash and Twilight are all adults, strictly speaking. And even if you're doing something foolish, I should at least address you all as equals.
Oh, God.
Really?
Came
Why?
Twilight's voice.
Where did they even get this much mud? Did they bring in the hose? Oh.
I'm afraid, but let's see what happened.
Twilight, Shadow, calm down.
Wait,
I-
what had just happened? Okay.
Oh.
Alright, I'll play along. Reckon I'm sorry for... Applejack paused and turned to shout in that Twilight's general direction. Sorry I yelled at your sugar cube!
That whole print's on the ceiling! How is this possible? How is that remotely possible?
Spider Pig does
No,
whatever a
no.
spider
No.
does.
You're doing
It's
Spider
much
Philly,
worse.
Spider Philly does whatever a Spider Philly does.
Can't you get a cutie mark? No, she can't. She's too young. Look out! Sorry, I had to be cool.
Yay!
I
Spike.
better go help her out, Spike said, helping for the door.
Pinky cleared her throat at him, and he looked back and forth, considering.
Okay, well, I guess I'm sorry that I didn't keep a closer eye on what Sweetie Belle was doing.
You fucking idiot!
God!
There! Pinky said with a big shiny smile. When she's not upstairs, we can get Twilight to apologize for how this is all mostly her fault anyway. What?
This ain't her fault! She wanted
not
to
her
do a
fault!
fucking report!
Blame it on the fucking marshmallow, Billy!
No, listen, this isn't Twilight's fault. Twilight was trying to do a freaking report. She was stuck on an assignment. Everybody kept in. They distracted her from the fucking report and caused this whole mess.
Pretty much,
I'm gonna clean up the kitchen.
Sweetie Belle said firmly, and gave the other fillies a reasonable copy of the look that she'd just seen from Pinky. Scootaloo held up her forehooves in protest.
Let's see. Oh, yeah. Hey, I wasn't even in here, remember?
She gave Apple Bloom a withering glare when the Earth Pony shoved a dustpan into her grip, but growled in resignation and set about doing as little as she could get away with.
I'll help too, said Pinky cheerfully. Better this in the bathroom, sounds like.
Hey, at least you're not up there.
Rarity, Applejack, and Rainbow... What?
And since I'm the voice of Twilight, that means I have to suffer through it.
Oh, God. Rarity, Applejack, and Rainbow Dash shrugged to each other as the fillies and Pinky took on the kitchen. None of them felt particularly compelled to assist. Two, because they really hadn't been involved with any of the fuss except to help stop it. The third, because she was Rainbow Dash.
Really?
When Pinky drew a deep breath and began to sing a cleaning song, they all backed quietly out of the kitchen. Rarity picked up her raincoat and parasol where she had dropped them on her way in, and hung them carefully on the hooks by the door. Applejack flipped open the pie box to check that the pie inside was undamaged, and satisfied that it was still in edible condition, set the box on the big wooden table in the center of the room. Rainbow Dash self-consciously began to pick up scattered books and stack them neatly beside the shelves for later sorting, and the three of them spent a few moments riding overturned chairs, moving Pinky's dollhouses out of the way and setting the ladder back up against the wall. Well, at least it's tidy now.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, but what about the bathroom?
I don't want to know. You know, in the bathroom.
After tidying in desultory silence for a while, Rarity made a sprightly effort at conversation.
Well, it looks like you've had a rather exciting evening.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Dash's voice was droll and deary. Dull and weary. Rarity turned and looked the Pegasus over, brow crinkling in concern.
Oh, Rainbow Dash.
She said in a tone of honeyed sympathy.
Did they make you wear that?
Dash looked down at the torn wreck of a dress she was, at this point, more entangled in than wearing. She sighed. Yeah, it was a big dress-up thing. She picked up a hanging flap of white fabric. This is Pinky's. Looks like I kind of ruined it.
You poor dear, you look like you've been in a brawl.
I kind of was.
Oh, come over here. I think we can salvage this dress with just a little work.
Rarity coaxed Dash closer and began tugging at the sections of the torn garment.
Yes, I can see it. Just a few little adjustments and we can make these rips look deliberate. Sort of a toga effect. You've always looked better in
Toga! Toga! Toga!
Toga party! Sorry.
You've always looked at best in the Pegasolopian styles, I do believe. That she does. Like at the gala in the Camelot when she has that Pegasopolitan styles.
Kind of a Greek, kind of like Greek-ish.
I like that.
Yeah.
Dash was too exhausted from the earlier tussle with the toys to put up much resistance, giving a feeble, "Oh, Rarity, come on!" as the fashionista set about humming and fussing over her. I just want to take this stupid thing off.
Let me put you in front of a mirror when I'm done and see if you still feel that way.
Rarity said equitably. From an inside pocket of her raincoat, she floated a silver hairbrush.
A little brushing will get your back to on your mane. A little brushing will get your mane back to looking darling when blown instead of just ragged too. Brushy, brushy, brushy.
Ah!
Oh, fuck.
She's frou-frouing!
Frou-frou.
Oh, fuck.
I've been frou-froued.
Run from the frou-frou!
Another crazy inside joke.
Yes.
Carefully running the brush through Dash's bangs with her magic, her hooves worked to the tatters of her dress, tugging off some torn parts and tying others into careful lacework around the winged pony's frame. Dash turned a pleading puppy-dog look toward Applejack. The farmer snorted a chuckle and came over to put her hoof on Rarity's shoulder. Now, Rare, she's had enough prettification for one day, don't you think? Frou-frou!
Yep.
I'm just trying to restore her little dignity. I don't think
Applejack-
frou-frou will give her any dignity whatsoever.
Nope.
None whatsoever.
Applejack looked over Rarity's shoulder at Dash. In truth, she did look not half bad in the reconstructed dress. As Rarity had said, it now seemed more like an ancient Pegasus toga. Toga! 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 Toga!
What's next? Food fight!
Whether it looked good wasn't the issue, though. The worn-out shattering around Dash's eye was. I don't think she could say much more dignity right now, either.
Oh, fine.
Rarity pulled the brush away from Dash and gave her a little nudge of implicit freedom to go. She turned a speculative gaze on Applejack, who backed away. That's you.
Oh, what about you then? You know, if you don't brush out that damp mane now, it'll dry into a complete rat's nest later.
That's my worry, ain't it? Applejack said in a warning voice. I'll take care of it when I get home.
Even a tough customer like you can't enjoy brushing out tangles, and you can't seriously expect me to believe that your mane and tail stay so glossy and full body without some pampering.
Well,
Ow.
sure, yeah. I can take care of my hair. I do it at home. Alone. On my own.
Oh, come now, Applejack. I only want to help. They started out with dolls and make-believe and a tea party. Couldn't we just declare today the day for, well, more girly activities?
Oh, boy. I got
It's look
bad feeling for where this is going.
It's look before you sleep all over again.
Oh, God.
Shit.
Great.
You know that ain't my sort of thing, Rare.
But we've been doing so much more of your sort of thing and dashes lately. Rock climbing just for the sake of climbing rocks is hardly my sort of thing, but I went along without complaint, didn't I?
Applejack scoffed. Rarity's definition of without complaint seemed to include a lot of complaining.
Pretty much.
Even the unicorn herself gave a little eye dip of acknowledgement that she wasn't the best of sports when it came to sports.
But I did... Oh, that's you.
Oh, but I did go along and I did participate.
Yeah, but you did, but still.
It's not like I'm trying to drag you into a complete spa treatment.
Rarity pounced on the slight hint of give in Applejack's voice.
Just a brushing and a retying of your hairbands, and then you can just put your hat in before you going out. Nobody will see who hasn't already seen Rainbow Dash in a bonnet.
Hey, yeah! I got frou-frou. Now it's your turn.
Frou-frou! Applejack groaned, flapping her hoof at the both of them, but she could tell her own surrender when she heard it, and she didn't knock Rarity's hoof away when the fashionista reached to remove her precious hat. I ain't promising not to complain, mind you.
Wouldn't expect anything less, darling.
Rarity trilled, bringing the hairbrush to bear on Applejack's hay-straw mane. Well,
There goes her.
Meanwhile, with the little main 6.
in the cavern of the bookshelf, little Twilight had turned away from the games her friends were playing to watch the living ponies. On the surface, it seemed as though everything was taken care of, and the real ponies had nothing more to do than clean up. But there was something nagging at the edges of her attention. Something wasn't quite right. When she heard the weirdly deep, booming voice of Big Dash say the uncommon, and strictly speaking non-existent word, frou-frou, frou-frou! Bit finally dropped for her, and with it went the pit of her stomach.
Sympathetic resonance.
She exclaimed aghast.
Parasitic spirochets!
What?
Then he chirped right in her ear, making her jump and slap the pink pony and ferociously startled glared.
Sorry, I thought we were playing science words.
I'm not playing science words, just using them. Sympathetic renaissance is a factor she's been overlooking.
She turned and found that the others had taken notice of her swing to the serious, looking to her with puzzled concern.
Girls, I'm afraid Big Twilight is an idiot.
Ugh.
Irony!
Oh, that stings.
Ouch.
Want some ointment with that burn?
The others gave a round of awkward, non-committal noises, expressing that they didn't really want to agree as such, but...
She's even brought it up herself. Add Astra's second principle. How could she, be so smart and so stupid? Thank you!
Oh, now, Sugar Q, don't beat yourselves up. We've all made some big mistakes, even on our own specialties.
Applejack gave her a friendly hoof tap on the shoulder.
Important is, how bad a problem is this pathetic residence going to be?
What?
She said pathetic residence.
Oh,
No.
God.
Twilight bit her lip.
Could be pretty bad if she doesn't catch up on soon.
Pacing back and forth in rapid ovals, she began to lecture at full speed.
Add Astra's second principle of similarity, colloquially stating that as like affects like defines an intrinsic connection between symbols, or in this case, effigies, and their referencing in instances like this to a standing amplification of ambient ethereal harmonics, using the effect force to apply magical energy, amplified further by inadvertent invocation to Terry's laws of narrative impetus, and combined with an unanticipated influx of raw potential through a temporary perceptual aperture in the kitchen. The result was veritable explosion of virtual energy, which crystallized by effect of applied energy, not only led to a massive amplification of which the intended effect, but to a self-sustaining sentence spline bursting with an active interior harmonics, which was not countered by a careless caster who didn't follow the checklist.
What the fuck did she say? English, motherfucker!
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
No!
Well, alright then.
We're not
That
even
was
gonna
a-
get this in layman's terms.
That was pretty much a mind rape.
This fanfic's starting to get disappointing.
She stopped breathing heavily. What?
It's like, I can't... It's like, if I were to read it again, I would still stumble upon the words.
She stopped breathing heavily, eyes frantic and furious. The others were blinking at her in silence, displaying a crystal clear understanding that indeed she had said many words.
You think?
Twilight groaned and put a hoof over her eyes, trying to think of a way to explain more simply. It wasn't coming easily. As her own ego projection, her tendency to circumlocution was unusually pronounced. Even her internal monologue was needlessly verbose and polysyllabic. Her friends probably weren't as sharp as they could be either. To begin with, her mental model of any pony else would have to be less complex and detailed than her own self-image, just because she couldn't read minds. And to be perfectly honest with herself, her concepts of them were at least a little dumber than the real mares deserved.
Nice, Twilight. You're calling your friends dumb.
Except...
Pinky, I don't suppose you feel like having a burst of inexplicable clarity right now, do you?
Sure!
From what? What?
Of course, Pinky. Take it away.
From wherever it was she kept things, Pinky produced a whiteboard on an easel and a set of colored markers.
What?
Okay, so a doll that looks like a real pony is kind of like a magic egg. She drew a quick stick figure of a pony and an equal sign in an oblong. And a story is like magic flower. She added a talking mouth and other equals and a sort of cloud shape, presumably resembling flower. Telling a story with the doll is like mixing them up to make magic batter. She drew a bowl and a line of red inside to indicate that it was partially filled. Then Twilight went and made a Dashy egg double-sized by putting magic into it to copy a kind of magic the real Dash does. She scribbled in more red, filling the bowl all the way up and adding some drips overflowing each side. Beside it, she drew 3 more little stick ponies. So when Twilight went to cast a spell on dolls of me, Dash, and herself, she was making up a whole new batch of fresh batter, which was extra bigger than she expected because the eggs, she thickened the oval bodies of the stick ponies, making them bigger, were real ponies who were right there paying attention, which made the connection stronger, and the Dash one was already supersized from the rain boom.
That makes sense?
Question mark? She
Um,
erased one's... What?
It's like, raise my hand. Yeah, Miss Pinky, can you repeat that again?
Let's go.
She erased one stick pony and redrew it much larger. This took time carefully, filling it in with rainbow stripes, while Twilight stamped impatiently. Pinky surrounded the doll shapes with a blob of red and connected them all with an arrow pointing to the bowl. But she already had an overflowing bowl, except she didn't know it because magic batter is invisible unless a magician specifically goes looking for it. So she dumped all that into the 2 full bowls at the same time Sweetie Belle just happened to poke a hole in reality where a whole flood of batter was beyond squirted through, and boom! One big huge gigunda batter mess splattered everywhere.
Yeah, because of a stupid, evil little marshmallow that wanted to make a s'more.
She scribbled red swirls across the whole board and drew a small blue circle around the stick figure dolls.
But the only part Big Twilight noticed is the little cake she was trying to make, and that's the only part she wrapped up and stored away properly. The rest of it all is still there, dripping off the ceiling and getting invisible story-flavored tears all over every pony.
I guess?
Seems legit.
Did you just call me fat?
Asked Rainbow Dash, but she was ignored as Applejack spoke up. So, all the extra batter, magic, is sort of sloshing around loose now, making ponies act out whatever story it was that her and Pinky were telling with the dolls before?
That explanation you get?
Twilight burst out.
Fine, whatever works. Yeah, that's pretty much the size of it. If she doesn't do something to counter the harmonics, the story will just reiterate itself over and over, amplifying each time and spreading wider. It could all encompass all of Equestria in just a few hours. And such a stupid story. Great, Twilight.
So,
Put
wait.
all of Equestria into jeopardy.
So wait a minute. This kind of goes back to the beginning of this chapter with the rabbits, doesn't it?
It does. If Twilight doesn't do anything soon, Equestria will be in freaking jeopardy.
Oh boy.
Maybe you should confront the big freaking Twilight and just admit your destinies. That you're gonna go back into dolls.
Big Twilight's voice echoed again from upstairs. Uh-oh.
No, seriously, how could they even get up there? Only one of them can fly, and she can't fly!
Little Twilight shook her head.
She's pretty distracted. I don't think we can count her to figure this out in time.
Dash reared up in the air and pointed a determined hoof.
Then it's up to us. What's the plan?
Okay, let me think. We need to expend all our remaining energy as quickly as possible and break up the story at the same time. None of you have the ability to throw off magic energy directly. and I can't draw it up from without extensive preparation. Not to mention the research I had to do to modify the ritual for non-living toy bodies. It takes just too long to exercise it out, so... Aha!
She balanced on her hooves Pinkie Pie style in the delight of solving a puzzle. Pinkie helpfully drew a yellow light bulb on the board behind her and above her.
I've got it. Okay, AJ, you two get over to the head and bring back one of the rarities. Don't let the big pony see you.
She pointed over toward the purple head, which lay on the floor a short distance from the front door.
Pinkie, Fluttershy, you come with me. We'll all meet up.
She looked across the room and saw the toy library sitting in the shadow of the central table.
In there.
That's you still.
Yeah, I said, in there. That should be a good place to get ready without being spotted.
Roger!
Dash and Applejack hopped down from the lip of the shelf and galloped off, sticking to the edge of the room to stay out of sight of the live mares. Pinkie gave Twilight a big excited grin.
What are we gonna do, Twilight?
We're going on a treasure hunt.
Woohoo!
Oh boy. This can't go wrong at all.
Yep.
Applejack felt there was more going on behind her than simple brushing and tried. Despite the basic impossibility of her turning to see the back of her own head, to turn anyway. Her mane was held firm, however, not tugged, just gripped with a certain iron implacability.
Rarity, you ain't braiding things back there, are you?
Oh, just a little experiment.
Experiment? Oh, Nelly!
Whoa, Nelly!
Oh, Nelly.
Applejack scowled and made to escape. This time her mane was tugged, a careful solid yank on a hank of hair too large for it to hurt at all, but enough to pull her head back around to face front.
Calm down. It's not like a technique that's experimental. I only meant that I want to see how it will look on you.
You want to see. Maybe I don't. Did you think of that?
If you don't like it, it won't take but 30 seconds to undo. I promise. Now sit.
Something in the shiny cheer of Rarity's voice made Applejack's hackles raise with a faint trace of alarm, but at the same time kept her from getting mad and pulling away at whatever cost to her mane it took. Knowing the way ponies could get when their cutie-marked talent was thwarted, or when it just took too strong a hold, and knowing that Rarity considered her talent to reach beyond fashion to any sort of finding and bringing out inner beauty, she thought the situation called for maybe some diplomacy.
Rare? You've been working pretty hard lately, she began carefully.
The live mares distracted with hair dressage, it was simple enough for Little Dash and Applejack to get to the big purple hat without being noticed. Instead of pulling out one of the Rarity dolls and dragging it across the floor where they'd all be visible, they elected to crawl under the hat and push it from inside, scooching along a few inches, peeking out under the soft brim to make sure they weren't seen before making another move, the back of the hat dragging the dolls along with them. Well then. It only took about 2 minutes to get the hat all the way under the table and up to the door of the toy library. After a moment's debate, they decided to take the bigger of the two Rarity dolls and drag it inside, setting it down with exaggerated size and forehead wipes of relief at the completion of the hazardous mission. Just a few seconds later, they were joined by Pinkie, Fluttershy, and Twilight, who were bearing in triumph a jewelry box of blue and gold adorned around its edges with multicolored gems.
Success! I just knew Big Pinkie would have made the set of these.
Well, duh! You need a way to beat the bad guys for a good story.
Oh,
What?
boy.
Oh, dear.
I don't think so.
Of course!
Twilight turned her attention to the inanimate model of Rarity. Up close, the doll, well-detailed though it was, looked obviously fake, but there was still something indefinitely creepy about the, comparatively, life-size effigy of her friend.
Aha! Terrific! You got her!
Of course! Hat-sealing ninjas, that's us!
Rainbow Dash puffed her chest out and grinned.
Just in time, too. The real Rarity is starting to get maniacal out there. Any minute now, she'll start cackling and making atrocious puns. We better get started on step 2 right away.
Frou-frou! You
Uh,
laugh like my girlfriend when she does that. Twilight took a stance above the toy and braced herself. This was going to drain away a lot of her magic, and she could only hope that she had enough to keep going afterward. She closed her eyes, dipped her horn to point down at Rarity, and went through the weaving of the animation spell. Her magenta glow surrounded Rarity's body, sparks of white flickering in swift orbits throughout the aura. Twilight felt like she'd been juggling boulders, but at least she had enough energy to stay upright and conscious.
I'm not sure how long it needs to take effect.
Rarity's eyes snapped open. In an instant, she went from inanimate to frantic.
What? What? Why am I living on the floor? It feels so peculiar. Did I hit my head? Oh, am I bleeding?
Her voice was rising perilously toward a shriek. Twilight quickly pressed her lips shut with a hoof and made a soothing shushing sound.
Shh, Rarity, there's no time to explain the whole situation. You're not injured. You're just, you were put to sleep by a spell. Can I please ask you to keep calm and trust me? We need your help.
Rarity's eyes flicked back and forth between the ponies surrounding her. Her mouth opened as though she began squealing again, but she caught the desperate concern in Twilight's eyes and let her breathe out quietly instead, her chin firm with purpose. Calmly she said,
Well, of course I trust you, Twilight. What do you need me to do? First, put this on.
Twilight opened the jewelry box, and from it drew forth a golden, at least a gold-colored, necklace, bearing a glass duplicate of the diamond-shaped gem of generosity.
The elements of harmony?
Wait, really? There's small little duplications of the elements of harmony?
Apparently so.
Okay, Pinky, I think you need to stop with the dolls. I think they need to be confiscated immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh dear, one of those days, is it?
Oh dear, one of those days, isn't it?
And there's yours.
Don't you worry about a thing, Applejack. This hairstyle will be on the main attraction.
Uh-oh. Rarity bubbled, baring her teeth in a most worrisome grin as she twined the several braids she'd made of the Earth Pony's mane into a complex arrangement of loops. Frou-frou!
Again!
Yep.
Yeah, that's right funny and all.
Applejack said, trying to draw away without making any sudden moves. Something was definitely off here. She was beginning to worry that she wouldn't be able to escape by any means short of a buck in the face, and beginning also to ponder the pros and cons of that approach. Rainbow Dash rose from their cushion and flapped an impatient hoof at them, staring toward the empty doorway.
Hey, shut up a second. Do you two hear that?
The curious fizzing feeling in Rarity's head faded somewhat as she turned to look frowning. Her magical grip on Applejack's mane loosened, and the farmer took the opportunity to move hastily away, coming up alongside Dash with her ears perked forward. After a moment's silence, she could make out a dim rumbling sound, something like a distant rock slide.
Is that the...
I do. Is that thunder?
She sounded doubtful.
Oh, fuck!
It's that thunder from the beginning of the story.
It's not the thunder! I think it's... the rabbits.
Something else.
It should be,
Dash said. Her lip curled in annoyance, reminded that she still had weather work left to do, with no more than 10 minutes left before her squad would be certain she was absent and not just out of the fringes or something.
Anyway, thunder just doesn't keep going on like that.
It ain't thunder.
It's getting louder.
It's getting closer.
Dash asked, adding another hesitant step forward. Out on the street, not a pony was in sight, and no more rain was falling. Without even a breeze, Ponyville was as quiet as it got, except for that ominous rising rumbling.
Uh-oh.
There's something familiar about that sound. I heard it before somewhere.
Yeah.
Dash stuck her head out through the doorway and peered with suspicion about into the night.
It sounds like something that needs checking out,
She said, then heading out and up.
Uh-oh.
Applejack
don't
watched
go
her
out there.
fly into the gloom, then poked her head out, staring down the road. She squinted and tipped her head. There was some kind of motion just at the edge of what she could see. A line of lighter gray moving against the dark dirt road, ripping as it approached. Her eyes grew slowly wider as the shape came more clearly into view, and she realized that it was not a shape, but many of them. A line of some kind of living creatures getting steadily closer.
It's the rabbits!
Bunnies!
Bunnies!
Oh, shit!
So,
Shut the door! Shut the door!
she yelled.
I can't! It's out there! Applejack bellowed back. Oh.
Oh, wait. Is it cows? The sheep?
No, it's butt!
Dash started to shout. This is a tidal wave of rabbits crashed through the doorway. Oh, fuck.
Shit!
Holy crap, bunnies!
Dash was thrown against Applejack, and both of them tumbled about helplessly under the fuzzy tsunami, shouting things unprintable as they were tossed against the walls and buffeted with countless small and heedless kicking feet. The rabbits only ran past and over them, though, and as more and more of them poured in, it became clear that they were all, with beady-eyed singularity of purpose, bearing down on a specific target, Rarity.
What?
Rarity?
What after her?
Wait, wasn't that from the make-believe story?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Oh crap, oh crap, oh crap.
So basically, through pure accident, it's recreating the fucking story that they were doing in the little play thing.
What?
Yeah.
Rarity,
Shit!
run!
The white unicorn had only time to raise her hooves and let out a piercing wail before they were on her, driving her to the floor and piling on top of her in a massive heap.
Oh my stars and planets, it's the bunnies!
Little Twilight had time to shout before the flood of white, brown, and gray bodies swept the room, shaking the floor and bouncing the toy library around, knocking all the ponies inside off their hooves. Fortunately, the only furniture and books in the dollhouse were painted onto the walls, so the ponies had nothing to crash into but each other. But the thunderous shaking was a primal terror in itself, and under the roar of hopping feet, none of them felt reserved about screaming. At this point, it wasn't as though the full-size ponies were going to notice.
Not good.
Not good
Nope.
at all. They're on him ready like just a freaking carrot!
Oh shit.
Once the wave had crashed, there came relative silence. The bunnies filled most of the room in a thick, wiggly carpet, snuffling and hopping about aimlessly. It was evident their plans had gone no further than bunny piling on Rarity.
Well, isn't that a massive pile up?
As
Bunny
far as,
pile.
as far as Twilight was concerned, bunnies always looked somewhat baffled whenever they weren't outright terrified, but now they seemed even more confused than usual, as though the whole crowd of them had simultaneously forgotten where they left their keys.
Look at that! Hundreds of them! The Renaissance must already be strong enough to draw them from miles around. Can't
Well-
wait here any longer. We've got to head out there and be ready to take our shot the second she gets clear of those rabbits.
She trotted out of the library into the library.
Okay.
The
Most of
big
the
one.
bunnies were huddled in a pile on top of Big Rarity, and the other two live mares on the table that served as a sort of breakwater, behind the table's thick pedestal. On the side opposite the door was a swath of floor mostly clear of the giant fuzzballs, giving her a clear run to the edge of the room. She jumped up atop a dictionary lying near the wall, where she had a decent view of the squirming, squalling lump that was Rarity, in the middle of the highest mound of the bunny pile. She heard the others come running up behind her, in particular hearing little Rarity, who had begun to whine out desperate questions the moment she got out of the toy library and realized that it wasn't exactly Ponyville outside.
Where did all these giant bunnies come from? Why is the library so huge? Is this a Discord thing? What's going on?
Twilight's heart went out to Rarity's honest, if unpleasantly shrill, bewilderment. She wasn't quite the same Twilight who cast the first spell, so she didn't think Rarity had any memories of being animated earlier. This version of Rarity's personality was probably a rather ragged thing, really made from the mental image of Rarity held by Twilight's mental image of herself, which was just all sorts of complicated metaphysically. In a situation, Twilight was sure she'd be doing worse than just whining. She'd probably be bursting into flames by now.
Please.
But there just wasn't time to offer more than token gestures of comfort. As gently as she could, she told Rarity,
I'm sorry, I really am, but we're in a lot of trouble right now, with only one slim chance to get out of it, and the whole world could be the risk of if we fail.
She wrapped her hoof around Rarity's shoulder and pressed close to her side, pointing out across a landscape of rabbit fur.
Any second now, our target is going to come rising out of there, and we have to be ready with the elements when she does.
Rarity's lower lip trembled and her eyes seemed shiny, though Twilight was reasonably certain that as toys they couldn't actually cry.
I'm so confused.
I don't think
But I
the
won't let
elements
you
of
down.
harmony will work, though. I doubt if they will work.
But I won't let you down. That's my fashion star.
Fair enough.
Twilight squeezed her again, nuzzled her cheek, and thanked the heavens that the gem on her tiara wasn't in the shape of an apple as she went on.
Once this is over, I promise I'll explain everything.
Rarity took a deep breath and cleared her throat roughly. In a firmer voice, she looked outward and asked,
All right. Then who is the target?
Twilight winced. Rarity's courage and trust felt like a kick to her gut.
It's a giant pony. Just follow my lead, okay? Saving the world. If we fail, the resonance could well be too strong for Twilight or even Celestia to fix by the time they figure out what's happening. The real Rarity could actually be turned into a new changeling queen. I don't have any choice but to mislead her.
She told herself, swallowing heavily as the other elements holders lined up alongside her at the edge of the dictionary.
I'm still such a horrible pony.
Oh.
Alright, let's go.
The noise brought all three fillies and Pinky to the kitchen door, where they stopped with dropped jaws. Sweetie Belle clapped her four hooves and gave out a squeal of delight at the sight of all the bustling bunnies.
Of course.
But stopped abruptly under the disbelieving looks she got from the other Crusaders. Pinkie Pie was so stunned she actually said nothing, which, although no pony noticed it, was statistically far less common than bunny stampedes.
Damn.
Twilight, Sparkle, and Spike were also alerted by the sound and rushed down the stairs, halting a few steps up as though slamming into the invisible barrier made a surprise. Both of them let out cries of dismay at the fresh chaos filling the room in cute, fuzzy form.
What? Now, why is my library filled with rabbits?
Twilight shouted to the universe itself, existentially and exasperated. Strands of her mane and tail popped in wild curls from the sleek precision of her grooming.
Wait, what?
Oh, God.
What?
Strands of her mane and tail popped in wild curls from the sleek precision of her grooming. And Spike caught a definite scent of smoke from her direction.
What?
He could only file that away as something to be dealt with very soon, however. Right at that moment, they had too much groaning and staring to do.
She's about to fucking blow.
Oh,
Twilight's dangerously rising crazy meter was interrupted for a moment at least by a soft voice on the front door.
Oh my goodness, is everything okay? Is everybody okay?
Oh dear. Fluttershy peeked through the doorway. Like every pony else, she stopped dead in startlement. But unlike every pony else, the bunny struck her as the least confusing thing in the room. Her jaw bobbed up and down a few times before sound gradually emerged.
What?
Too many questions argued in Fluttershy's mind over which one ought to come after what. The aspect of her that should make such decisions was too busy slapping the eyeball monitors and demanding the truth. The strange behavior of the bunnies had already made her evenings surreal enough. Now everywhere she looked, from the tiny Ponyville on the floor, to all her friends and the three fillies being in the library after dark, to Twilight Sparkle standing there in her party dress smeared with mud, to the empty doorway with its hinges banging twisted on the frame, which on the plus side seemed logically related to the door she'd passed lying in the road, was madness. What?
Well, let's just say chaos and leave it at that.
Oh, where the heck is Discord?
Oh boy.
Oh god, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Is that the end of the chapter?
It is not.
Why don't we try to finish
really,
the chapter?
It really didn't help that Spike was wearing a tuxedo jacket and holding a bucket of soapy water. It just so happened that when Spike turned up in her actual dreams...
Dreams?
He was often dressed formally and carrying cleaning supplies, or at least in this instance, he wasn't also singing show tunes.
Can somebody explain?
Yeah, me too.
I am confused.
I don't know either.
What? What? While Fluttershy tried to gather her wits enough to be merely confused, Angel hopped down from her back. He ran over and gave Scootaloo a swift kick on the shin. That's because she was closest to the door. Unhurt but indignant, she squawked to him to no avail. Angel had already turned his wrath towards his wild cousins, giving them a sharp tongue lashing in sniffy, squeaky bunny language, quite literally hopping mad. Fluttershy met Twilight's eyes and added a second word to her repertoire.
Twilight, what?
It's a little complicated.
As big Fluttershy came through the doorway, little Pinkie gave a deep, wailing inhalation of horror and leapt into the air, clapping her forehooves over her mouth. Her mane and tail frizzed out in starburst shapes, electrified by fear. It was the most terror ever shown by any living thing in the appearance of Fluttershy, at least when she wasn't angry.
No more time, Twilight! We have to stop the story right now!
Stay with me, Pinkie. This is no time to panic. Don't you?
Don't
go
you
ahead.
remember? Rarity comes out from under the bunnies last! We can't wait for a clear shot. If you don't act right this second, they're gonna... Well, Fluttershy will get over it probably. But 18 Dash are gonna totally kill me! Reel me, I mean!
Why are you so...
Twilight's mind ground to a halt as Pinkie's points sank in. She could feel things snapping and fizzling inside her thoughts as the imagination sector slammed on the emergency brake.
Gurk?
I think that's like a throat sound or whatever. Like,
Yeah. Gurk.
What are you two on about? Applejack demanded.
Never mind. Pinkie's right. Go time is now.
Twilight jumped off forward of the dictionary, and without further discussion, the others galloped after her toward the sea of bunnies. Fluttershy hovered above the bunny pile and called out for her friends.
Oh my, are you okay?
She asked nervously. Applejack was first to recover and pop up from under the bunnies, muttering apple-filled curses.
What?
Apple-filled curses.
Let's just... Yikes. Yeah. Language.
Language.
Let's go.
I'm okay. I just gotta... She trailed off and realized without thinking she had reached out and picked up a rabbit. She had no idea why. What do I gotta do? The rabbit dangled thing from her hoof, looked back at her and shrugged. Little Twilight found her mind strangely calm. There was no more time to think, to analyze, only to act. It was liberating in a way. The toy ponies came to the edge of the bunny crowd, and Applejack turned to Twilight. How are we gonna do this? We can't hit Rarity with all these varmints in the way.
Wait, that's the target? Why me? She's the antagonist. It's okay, the elements aren't just a blind weapon. They know we're the evils in the heart, and we're not carrying the real elements anyway. There's a better than even chance they'll produce nothing more than a light show, but that still could be dramatic enough to disrupt the story. Either way, I'm pretty sure she won't be harmed.
That's the kind of sentence I really don't want to hear Pretty in. Rainbow Dash emerged also and looked up toward Fluttershy. She broke into a broad grin and started laughing.
Fluttershy? What a totally awesome prank!
She crowed. Last second, Big Rarity was still fumbling around under the fairy bodies. Little Twilight, still in her Eye of the Storm Zen balance, reached out with her magic and pushed, shoving rabbits heedlessly inside and cleaning in her aisle, and led straight from where she stood to where Rarity sat, blinking in astonishment. Holy crap.
Ugh.
She's that strong.
Apparently.
And at the same time, that's a little scary.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Alright, let's go.
The telekinetic burst drained her remaining energy to the very dregs, leaving her feeling more worn and weak than ever. But she forced herself to keep her heavy hooves in motion. She could only hope that what she had left would be enough, that the resonance of her element would amplify her remaining reserves sufficiently to carry out the rest of her plan. But to her own surprise, she wasn't worried. The question really was, would the magic of friendship come through for her when she needed it, when the whole world needed it? Put that way, she didn't have time to think if it would or hope it would. She knew. Little Twilight charged forward between the befuddled bunnies. Oh, damn.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Big Dash flew up out of the bunnies, ignoring the wave of magic tossing them around beneath her. How do you not notice that?
I don't know.
Mm.
A strange glossy blankness clouded her eyes as she hovered toward Fluttershy, not knowing why, but feeling somehow right about it. Fluttershy drew back, giving Dash a quizzical look. Little Twilight drew to a halt a few hooves away from Big Rarity and squared her stance as the others took places by her sides. She lowered her head and lit her horn. And one more time.
Sure hope these things work without a lecture or friendship first. All right, girls. Ready.
Fluttershy, you're my...
Big Dash droned in a weird, faraway voice, closing in on the butter yellow Pegasus, who backed away toward the wall, growing more alarmed by the millisecond.
You're my awesome hero.
What?
It was nothing, Fluttershy mumbled, meaning it very sincerely.
Aim.
With Fluttershy hunched up into the juncture of wall and ceiling, Dash was able to close in and grab her shoulders, trapping her. Fluttershy let out a pathetic whimper and drew her head back, terrified by the uncanny emptiness of Dash's eyes, almost certain that the fastest zombie in Equestria was leaning in to bite her face off.
It is! The story's trying to go!
Oh no.
On the floor below, Applejack whipped her head back and forth, trying to find anything that made a lick of sense. Over there was a flare of magic that looked like Twilight's color, tossing bunnies around. Over there were more of those dadgum toy ponies still running around after she thought she had been shut down. And up there, Rainbow Dash had Fluttershy cornered and was... What the hell was she doing at a time like this?
Friendship.
The elements of harmony fired at 1/14th scale.
1/14th, how small. Now what happens?
Time clotted. In the frozen now, Spike found himself prematurely alert, aware of everything at once. He saw the 6 fugitive toy ponies lining up with grim determination. He saw the lane cleared of bunnies, leading like a lethal arrow toward Rarity, who was staring blankly, mouth agape, not yet recovered from the chaos of the last few moments. Somehow he could see Twilight behind him, her horn beginning to glow, attempting who knew what sort of emergency magic. He could see that it wasn't going to work. There was no more time.
What?
Uh-oh.
He could see himself as though from outside, fighting to get his body moving, straining muscles that felt like frozen taffy. He saw bright points of light shining from the toy ponies, each a different color. Deep in his core, he could feel forces of magic coiling up around the glass gems each of the miniatures wore, ready to burst forth. With frightful clarity, he was aware of ghostly, shimmering light blooming at the throats of the full-size mares in the room, some sort of echoed apparition of their element necklaces, flickering into view in sympathetic responses to their toy versions.
What?
He saw Rarity's eyes find the toys that were treading her, saw her pupils dilate in fright, saw her forehooves rising, slowly, oh so slowly, to protect her face. He heard her begin to scream. He could see the polychromatic energy bursting from the miniature elements of harmony. In the face of all logic regarding the speed of light, he was able to watch the beam growing toward her, inescapable. And then he was in motion. He was in the air, leaping forward in a long, desperate arc. He had his arms stretched out wide. He had his chest fully bared to the oncoming ray. Oh no.
No.
What?
His own voice echoed in his ears as if from some far distant place, crying out a prolonged protest. And then time came back. In a dizzy, blurred instant, he felt something like a full-grown dragon's breath blowing on him hard. He felt himself changing direction in the air to fly back over Rarity's head, felt himself slammed against a bookshelf, felt his breath rush out and abandon him, and then everything went rainbow.
Fuck! I'm confused.
As we all are.
I...
And that's the end of the chapter.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Did Spike just...
What? What in...
I don't know what to say.
I don't even know what to make out of it. I seriously don't.
Hmm.
I don't...
I don't know.
What just happened?
No idea.